Welcome to Herding Founders, the show where we explore the challenges, lessons, and stories behind building startups and scaling ideas into impactful businesses. I'm your host, Kevin Sims, one of the co-founders of Herder.io, a project management company that helps teams transform ideas into successful products. Today's episode, we're talking with Anitra, the founder of Inkzup, a booking and client management system for tattoo artists. Together, we'll go through what it took for her to go full-time into her startup to scale it to where it is at today. So grab your headphones, get inspired, and let's get into it.
Second here. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love to support, the community. And so, as soon as I saw who you were, I was like, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I'll give a little background about myself. So I'm one of the co-founders of Herder.io. We're like a project management company that kind of specializes with, in build project management for, startups, entrepreneurs, and things like that. But what we're starting a podcast to kind of showcase and talk through, some of the different founders, bootstrap companies, other people who have, been through the process and would like to share some of the, trials and tribulations that they've been through. So I came across you on a Tiny Seed there. So saw that, you had like a, kind of a booking system for tattoo artists and thought that was pretty cool. So if you don't mind, just share a little bit about, what kind of inspired you to start that business.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started Inkzup about 2 years ago, it actually was a marketplace. So, and where that came from was just my frustration within the tattoo community. I'm what they call a collector. I have several tattoos. And so it was an opportunity to create something that will help solve for the problem of using social media to find an artist. So I was really frustrated, about that whole process because my artist moved away. So I found myself in need of one. And it was just like, everybody was like, oh, you got to go to Instagram. You got to go to Instagram. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And then that's when I saw how broken, the system was. So it started at marketplace. We were doing really well just with the marketplace element of it. But it comes definitely with the challenges. And so the more I got into the shops and was doing, more and more customer discovery, working with the artists, they kept telling me they needed more outside of the marketplace. And I'm like, what more do you need? I then dug into it a little bit deeper and based on their feedback, and they were just like, oh yeah, we need, something associated with customer, management, stuff like that. Be able to communicate with customers without using their cell phone or using Instagram. How I get that customer back in my seat type of thing. So I just kind of started thinking, I'm like, wow. So I started hearing it so much so to where literally the market told me to pivot. Seriously, I was just like, It was just no kind of ignoring it, in that sense. And I was just like, man, wow. I was like, okay, I never wanted to become a SaaS product because there were already, players in the game. So I didn't want to, be in that space. So, but like I said, the market kept driving me toward it. And I was just like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I pivoted back in April of last year. No, May of last year.
2020,
and then totally rebuilt my whole system.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So 2024, that was kind of your aha moment to, kind of shift to, instead of being a marketplace where you go find. So really people used to go find a tattoo artist and that was it. They would just know where to go. There was no booking, none of that.
Right. No, they were doing it. They most of them, and still most of them do, still use Instagram. They use Instagram and email. That's their biggest things, it's for, and then for its payments, it's Cash App and Zelle now, so and it's such a bad experience for the end user, for the customer, and I try to educate them on that. that when you have, a software system that can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, all you got to do is just use it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
And so that's the biggest thing. So it's been it's probably one of the biggest challenges because my customers, most of them are not very technical savvy. So technology, kind of makes them a little nervous. They're so used to just Instagram and email to where it's just like, oh my goodness, I got to learn something new, So it's the
Yeah.
learning curve of it a little bit. Even though I kind of built it, I feel like, to be as simplistic as possible.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
still some that are very nervous, when it comes to new technology.
Yeah, it's funny because there's like those businesses kind of that they're not really introduced to like tech, like barbers or certain industries. They're not really
Right.
pushed to having to use it because they're so used to just they're either getting their normal clientele, but they're not looking at ways to like drive their business growth or expand to different areas or reach different customers. And yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
get what you're saying. So what was the specific like so now that you switched to that, what
hmm
what kind of things do you do to kind of grow the like was this like funded through like a bootstrapping just through Tiny Seed, or how are you kind of like growing the
Yeah.
getting more
So,
out to more people?
yeah. So when I first started with the marketplace, I actually got into Techstars. So I was in Techstars Atlanta in their cohort from last year. So that's what kind of kicked things off, as far as the funding and things of that nature. And then that's when I made the decision to, going to take this serious and, leave my job and my stability and cushioning. Some days, oh my goodness, I miss it.
Oh,
But
so you're full time in this then?
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Oh
I have
yeah,
been
okay,
for the last 2 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So so yeah, so I knew if I was going to do it, it needed my full time attention. To really grow it. Considering that my customer base and things of that nature, I'm like I got to be all in, all hands in. I really do. So then that's when I made that decision. And so yeah, and so but before that, before Techstars, the marketplace was already up. So that was 100% bootstrap. That was all
oh
my
okay,
savings. That was
okay.
all my money. Yeah.
Oh
Like,
wow,
so Techstars, yeah, Techstars just helped in the rebuild. And that's when Techstars came in handy for the
okay,
actual rebuild of the platform. And so I got what made me get introduced to Tiny Seed was actually podcasting, listening to Rob's podcast. I follow him on YouTube. So, just hearing, about Tiny Seed. And so it was like SaaS based. And I was like, well, I am SaaS now. So I think that's fitting.
hmm
So when I heard about, them launching applications, I was just like, oh man, this would be really cool, to be like in connected with other entrepreneurs that are, 9 times out of 10 bootstrap. And I know that, in most cases, it will be kind of like an ongoing kind of bootstrap type of situation, only because the market that I'm in is what VC deem as small. So
hmm
because of that, it kind of puts me in this situation of bootstrap. But don't get me wrong, I don't want to, go into this whole VC
no,
wheel
yeah,
anyway.
yeah,
So,
no, right, right, yeah.
you know, if I can build and grow it without it, like I'm 100%, down, for it. So the things that I'm most excited, I guess, with Tiny Seed and things that with their investment, it's the community aspect of it, like because this is a lonely journey. I'm sure you you can agree,
Mhm,
kind of a
mhm.
lonely journey. So to have other people that's kind of going through the same things you're going through, or may even have a solve for something you would be going through, is kind of cool. So I felt like the community aspect was a great reason to join. As far as how I'm orchestrating further growth, it's just naturally within the community. It was important to me to build community first before any one line of code was actually done.
Okay.
So when I first started out, I had a set of roundtable events here in Atlanta, just to connect with the artists, understand their pains, their challenges, stuff like that. I've really built an amazing tattoo community. We have a brand ambassador program now. We have our tattoo conventions, to where brand ambassadors and protein members are a part of that, and they, go to city to city. So yeah, the community aspect has definitely been an important one, and I think that has tremendously played a role in our growth.
Okay. And then for like people who may not be aware, like, so when you say coded, so did you fully code it? Did you have a team, or did like your investment kind of help go to like a marketplace and gain like freelancers or something like that? What's some like
Right. Yeah.
incentives?
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So my background is technical. I didn't code the whole thing, so I have a very unique skill set. Like I operations, sales, like a little bit of everything, and tech as well.
Hmm.
I didn't create any code, but my
Okay.
team did. So
Yeah, yeah.
before I went full time with Inkzup, although I was working full time corporate with Verizon at the time, for like 8 years, I had a website design agency on the side. So that was
Okay.
something that's what I was passionate about. And
Yeah.
so I did that for about 8 years before I stopped when I went full time with Inkzup. So I actually already had a team
Hmm.
because of that. And so although they weren't skilled at really necessarily building a marketplace, I was just like, hey, I just need a first iteration of my idea to be created just to see if we would even get traction on it. And so that was primarily their responsibility, with kind of building that out. So while I do code, I don't code anymore. But
Okay.
I know how to delegate extremely well to get the
That's
job
good.
done. So
Yeah.
so that's basically what I have. So I have a smaller team now. Where I have the my website design agency. The designers, I still use them, and then I built the platform now that we currently have. It's on Bubble. So it's
Oh,
on
okay.
Bubble for now until I decide to get to the point, which is we're getting really close, because Bubble has its
And
limitations
yeah,
to
yeah,
where I
yeah.
got to go back to custom code.
Okay.
But I wanted to really make sure I could build a business with this first, within Bubble, because obviously it was less expensive, to kind of build that way. So I was just like, let me, try this first. And if all goes well and I'm really able to grow the business, then I was like, okay, then I'll start working on, getting back to custom code. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so like you're mentioning traction. What was that moment when I know you said you did like the community events, but
hmm
what was that moment you noticed like traction was really picking up? Like, are you specifically in the Atlanta area? Was it like
Yeah.
your Instagram page starting to blow up and stuff? Like, what was like that moment for you?
Well, Instagram was a big one. Yeah, we really took off really quick with that, with the growth on
Okay.
Instagram. So that was really cool. So that was like that first small indicator.
Hmm.
And then the second was just the number of bookings, coming through the marketplace. So that was a big aha moment. And I'm just seeing new accounts created constantly. And I'm
Hmm.
like, whoa, wow. That's when I like, because it was just a side project because I was still working
Yeah.
corporate. So I
Hmm.
was just like, let's see how this goes. And actually, I was super nervous that anyone would even sign up for it, to be honest,
Yeah.
you know. But I think once, kind of word kind of got around, about the marketplace, then it just organically just started to grow alongside the Instagram, account as well. So like once we hit about, I want to say about $5,000 in bookings, that's when I kind of started to take it serious. And that's when I was just like, oh, I might be on something for real.
Yeah.
So having so many artists, I think the first year we had, I think the first year we had about 200 artists sign up within the first
Okay.
year. hmm Yeah, so it was really quick. And, as you can imagine, because it's such a niche community, word kind of get around organically and people telling other people. So it was just, yeah, a lot of it was just natural organic growth.
Do you see it like being like since this platform specific to ink tattoo artists makes it a lot more desirable than like another platform out there like
Oh,
for a booking
100%.
system?
Yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Hmm.
I know like in the kind of VC world, they look for huge markets. And
Right.
so, I know that there's something special about being niche in a particular, area, to where they feel like, oh my goodness, this is built just for me. It's not built for the beauty place down there or the wax place down there or the hair salon
Yeah.
here. It's so custom made just for them. It definitely plays a big role when I'm doing demos or educating about it. They're like, "Oh my goodness, this is really cool," because a lot of them do use, these beauty platforms and stuff like that because they think that's the only thing that's out there for them. For
Right.
those that are not aware of Inkzup. So,
Yeah.
but then when they see what we built, and they're just like, "Oh my God, this is wonderful!" It's an absolute no brainer. Absolute no
Okay.
brainer. So it's something special, I think, about being niche. Although some would argue that, because the market is a little bit smaller, it's probably not the best idea in the world. But no, but I absolutely love it.
Okay. And what was like the one biggest like impact or strategy that you implemented that was like a big impact on your business? Like for as far as like I guess on like the tiny seeds or or investments when they're looking at it, like did they have a particular strategy that they wanted you to follow, or was there something that you kind of have in place that you kind of stick towards?
Yeah, so not necessarily. I mean, Tiny Seed, we just kind of just started, kind of our
Okay.
cohort. So we haven't had a lot. I think we've had like maybe three like meetings or sessions, and then we had a kickoff in Arizona. But even with that small amount of time, I have learned, a few things, from them. And I'm sure we'll continue, from a strategy perspective on, how to best navigate and continue to grow the brand and grow the
Hmm.
company. But I think the strategy, at this point, I think the community building, kind of doing that first, instead of like most companies build product and then try to build community, which was intentional on my part, I think has played a tremendous role in, the growth in general. So I think that strategy that I had in mind, because the tattoo community is so niche and so like, put together or so close knit to where even me as a collector, I'm an outsider. Even though I got tattoos, I'm still considered an outsider. So I knew that, because if you're not an artist, a shop owner, shop manager,
Yeah.
like or something, you're an outsider. So I
Yeah.
knew that I
Yeah.
had to come in a sense to where, because I wasn't an artist, I had to come in with, okay, hey, I'm really here for you. Just kind of really express this whole community portion of it and say, no, I'm not about just trying to get your dollar. I'm like really trying to build something that you can actually use. That's going to be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So building community was top priority in order to, catch their eye as to say, oh, okay, well, this company seems like they genuinely care,
Right.
and building out the brand ambassador program, the pro team, which is, a set of, veteran tattoo artists and stuff like that, was really important to me. I put a lot of money into kind of building out that program. And that's, I think another reason as well to where they know it's like, oh, this is really different. Like, they genuinely do really care about our success by having such programs, to kind of help and enhance, their skills and being able to do a tattoo convention. Like we have like over 65 brand ambassadors, and then we have 12 pro team members. And with the tattoo conventions that we did last year, I want to say at least 20 of those artists had never been in a tattoo convention, had never
Oh
went
wow.
to a tattoo convention ever.
Oh wow. That's
So, like it's things like that. And I think like, just highlights and things that we post on social media continues to kind of help elevate that message that we're community, that Inkzup is part of their community and not, just trying to grab at what we can grab
grab it.
at dollar
Right.
wise. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. Yeah, because a lot of businesses or startups or founders, they it's hard to, it would be hard for someone to navigate a terrain they're not in, right? So,
Yeah,
you being
it
like an
is. It's
outsider,
very,
like you said.
very
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. But I feel like I've earned their respect.
That's good. Yeah.
At this point, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. I knew that I had to do that. If I would have just would have went in just like trying to sell product, with not taking the
Hmm.
time out to really understand them and their true pain points, because I understood the pain points from a customer's perspective, but I didn't know the pain points, from them. So it took some heavy, heavy customer discovery, to really, really, try to understand all of their pain points from their position when kind of building out, the SaaS model, of the business.
Okay. And then like, so with all that, is there like a mistake or a time you've had a bad decision where you was like, oh, this kind of, the wrong way to go? Like, how do you
Yeah.
kind of overcome that if you, have been in that position?
Yeah. This startup world is, the startup life is just like
Yeah, it's up
up
and
and
down, up and
all the
down, right?
time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So one thing, when I released the first iteration of Eat Now Pay Later, which is a financing option for customers, when I first released it, I had a partnership with a startup out in California. And I thought that it was the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just like, oh my God, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm like, yes, this is it. This is it. And yeah, it didn't work out too well. I was so disappointed. And what the problem was is that there weren't, because it's a direct to consumer product, the way
Yeah.
their platform is set up. And
Okay.
so there were a lot of it was great for give me the validation that I needed for the product itself. But no, it was a total flop because of the approvals, so it was very hard to get approved. For the customers, the shops were signing up left and right because I started with shops and they were just like, yeah, this is great. Yes, I want it, and so I'm just like, sign them up, sign them up, sign them up. And then like a month later, it was just like, so I'm gonna have to cancel this. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? It's like, I'm not getting any approvals. And then I started tracking and looking, and I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna work.
Mm.
Not gonna work. So
Oh,
it
so
was
on the financing side, people weren't getting approved
right,
for it.
right,
Gotcha.
right. So
Gotcha.
customers wanted it, tattoo shops wanted it, they were signing up
Hmm.
left and right, customers were applying, but no one was getting approved. So I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it
So
almost
it
sounded like
would
something. Yeah, that could have been like. No, I was gonna say, yeah, it almost sounded like something that could have been because if someone wants like a big tattoo that they can't upfront pay for, if you could
right.
pay it in installments, yeah, that would have been a great
Right,
opportunity.
right. So, but it's unheard of in the tattoo industry.
Yeah, I've never
So,
heard of.
because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
tattoos, you can't repossess the tattoo,
you
right?
can't get it back. Yeah, yeah.
So it
Right.
was. I knew that it was going to be a huge challenge, and I knew that
Yeah.
I wanted to concentrate on that being truly my moat, versus other tattoo software platforms that are out there. And so I introduced the first iteration of Ink Now Pay Later before I even had the extra SaaS product actually created. So I really wanted to test that out first just to see if I could get traction from shops just from that product or feature alone before I started kind of building it out. And then I was just like, oh man, this is really good. That people were excited and, wanted to use it, but the plot was that nobody was getting approved. So I experienced a lot of churn and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, what am I gonna do now?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Right.
at that point I knew I had to regroup and I had to figure out another option. So there was two biggest flaws with that. One was the fact that customers weren't getting approved. And then the second one, was the money wasn't going to the shop. So the money was
Okay.
going to the artist. So a lot
Yeah.
of, I mean, not the artist, I was going to the customer because it was
Okay.
direct to
Okay.
consumer.
Gotcha.
So, a lot of shops, was just like bucking at that, of course. And they were like, man, so you mean to tell me they can get the money and they can use it on something else and not the tattoo? I was like,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah. They was like, I don't know about that.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the other thing I needed to solve for as well. I ended up now at this point, fast forward, have a really great partnership with Sezzle. So I was able to show them all the data and information that I was able to get from that actual, what I consider a pilot for that first iteration, and be able to kind of show them, like, hey, we processed, like over $108,000 in like 4 months, of application. So the demand is there.
Mm-hmm.
I just need a strategic partner that'll give me a chance to really, show that this can really work. So Sizzle was like, all right, well, let's test it out. Let's see what happens. And so, yeah, here we are.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so with a lot of that, a lot of the stuff you guys got going on, what kind of habits or routines do you kind of have to keep like you and your team focused on, like, projects, deadlines, making sure stuff is, put into place on time,
Mhm.
features and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, what we're using now, because I'm a huge communicator. So, we, as far as project management, what we've been using, that has been helpful, to kind of track everything, at least at this point, in a way, has been Twilio. So, we're able to, just kind of have everything kind of lined out, pretty visible for everyone, as far as like what's on the backlog, bugs, fixes, what's currently in development, any type of request or anything that anyone gives me, they'll be like, hey, oh, it'll be great if we had this or we had that. I just add it on, to Twilio, and it's something that we, talk through when we have our meetings. And we talk through some of the features and, kind of the importance of them, and kind of stack them, like, would this be important? Is this a 1 to 10 item that we need to focus on now?
Mm-hmm.
Any bugs or anything like that, then, we obviously address pretty quickly. And then we use Slack for like everyday just communication. If it's a heavy, milestone or sprint, then, we'll have weekly stand-ups and stuff like that or whatnot, just to make sure, everybody's on the same page, we're not missing anything. But we're at the point now, thankfully, that all of the product pretty much is in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
So, in which that was really all of 2024 because of the pivot. So now I'm excited because now it's just like, now I can focus on operations and really scaling and really selling and really growing, the company, and getting the word out there about Inkzup. Because like I said, it's when I demo, it's an absolute no brainer, to shops. Especially even more so for those that are not using anything. You have some shops that, have used a competitor or is currently using a competitor, but no one has no significant market size at all, at all.
Okay.
So, that was one of the reasons why I felt a little bit more comfortable with the pivot, because no one has no significant market share. So I saw that as an opportunity. So I was like, well, let's just see what happens. It might be something gold in here that I don't really see right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for anyone that's watching, like if they were, people who were wanting to start their own company, having to bootstrap it. I know you said you left your job, and that's like
Yeah.
one of the things a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't want to lose that comfy, paycheck every 2 weeks or something. What's some
Right.
advice you would give someone to understand when it is time, or what avenues to take to make sure that's the right decision?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I know, like, for me, and the advice that I would give is that this was something, being a full-time entrepreneur was something that had been on my spirit, my heart, for about a year before I actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh my goodness, I really, should really consider thinking about this. Because although I was doing KMP, which was my website design agency on the side, I didn't feel like that was a strong enough reason to go full time, because it was fine just doing it on the side. Like, it was fine. It was still comfy with getting my 9 to 5 paycheck from Verizon, and then doing that on the side is my passion. It was a great combination. But it was really on my spirit to really do it. And so once I got that true validation, I think from Techstars, that's when it really was kind of like a true golden light bulb moment, for me, that I was really onto something. and that it was much bigger than just, something on the side that I'll do here and there, but a few other things that played into that decision as well. Not only the validation from Techstars, but, had a good savings, account, already built up. So I had that, comfortability as well. Knowing that bills will still get paid, all the good stuff. If I need to tap into my 401k, that was there. That was a good amount of money as well. So I felt even more comfortable kind of taking that leap of faith. So I do advise, anyone that's thinking about it, just to make sure you got your bases covered,
Right.
because it's hard out here, and so a lot of times it takes a minute for you to really start to generate revenue, to where you feel comfortable that you can leave your job. Now, if you don't feel comfortable leaving your job, just continue to bootstrap on the side to where you feel like you can, and it will take care of home. It will take care of the bills. So I took the leap without having that really secure net. The marketplace was making some money, but not enough for me to really quit, but having that validation for Techstars and then my savings and all that stuff. And I just felt it really in my spirit. And I was like, hey, what's the worst that can happen? I cannot do it and then, feel like I regret that I didn't do it, or I can do it and I have 3 degrees. I can always go get a job if it fails.
Exactly.
So I was like, it's one of, I kind of looked at it as like an amazing opportunity to extremely, I'll say, challenge myself. It's a lot more challenging than I thought, to be honest. So taking this risk, but like, it's extremely rewarding all at the same time. Like, it gives me headaches, it stresses me out. But then when you see the reward of how, you hear feedback or testimonials from shops and artists that are using the platform or the marketplace or whatever the case may be, and say, hey, this is awesome. This is great. I love it. It has completely changed the way that I do business. It's all worth it.
That's good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so what's like as we get closer to the end here, what's like the next goals for Inkzup? Like, 1 year, 5 year goals. Like, what's your next like thing you want this to kind of come out of,
Good
for the
question.
future?
So besides take over the world,
Yeah.
what you say? No, the biggest thing, like I said, 2025 is all go, like full steam ahead. Now that product is in a good position, finally, so operationals, just sales and growth, and continuing to get the word out there. So marketing is a big piece of 2025, and putting money into that. So that's where Tiny C's investment is going to come in handy, to kind of focus on that. So we're at a good middle ground. The big goal is to get to like 10K monthly revenue. That's my big
Okay.
eyes I have set on. We're close, we're halfway there. So I'm really excited to get to that point, to where we've, reached actually 10K, and hopefully it'll be before the end of the year. But, if not, then I definitely have to hit that. So in order to do that, I get people to have more eyes on the brand. So that's the major focus for the first year, for this next year. 5-year goal, to be a household name in the tattoo industry, because like I said, there's no one that has any significant market share. So I want people to think about, Inkzup, the way they think about, Square. Like, oh my goodness, I'm starting to do business. Oh, I got to create a Square account. I got to, whatever. So I want that to be the
they'll be
same,
showing it on Ink Masters or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay.
super excited about the continued growth.
Well, thanks for jumping. Well, so we got inksup.com. How else can everyone kind of follow you? Instagram, Facebook. What's your other platforms? Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, thanks for taking the time out for me. Like I said, I want to be respectful of your time, and thanks, and hope you have a good day. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Herding Founders. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights to apply to your own entrepreneurial journey. If you found this episode inspiring, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a fellow founder or entrepreneur. Your support helps us continue to bring these stories to life. And if you're looking for a smart way to manage your projects and turn your ideas into reality, check out herder.io. That's HERDR.io, the project management platform built for small teams with big dreams. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Herding Founders. Until then, keep building, keep growing, and keep chasing those dreams.